Welcome to the Fans Point of View podcast with your host, the most unknown podcaster there is, Truck and Chubby, aka Clarence Hampton III. This ain't your coaches and pros, the X's and O's. This is the Fans Point of View and what we know. So let's go. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Go dig through my archives on YouTube, watch your favorite videos, let you know, pick your favorite ones, let me know what you want to see more of. Got to get these watch hours up so I can get this monetization, so I can drop content on y'all every single day. Get up out here, go live more often and everything. I do go live Saturdays at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be there so we can have a great show and a lot of conversation about sports. All right. So diving into this, and before we get to talking about these bowl games that we just watched, the group of five should have their own division, like how the NIL is to March Madness. And simply because the champion of that division and that group should be crowned. Liberty was a very good team, and they had a very great season. They dominated their conference, their division, and they should have went out with being national champions of the G5 group, and they are, especially when you play somebody like Oregon. But Oregon this year they fell short to Washington, a very good Washington football team. But there's no way that Oregon and Liberty should have ever been matched up. And I do think that the viewership would be very good for that particular bracket in its own. Yes, it would. And that way you don't have to expand the college football playoff, because let's face it, people are going to be talking about the 13th and 14th team not getting in. That way you put the group of five in their own 12, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Liberty, so forth, New Mexico and all them. That'd be a great bracket to watch in itself. And then you got your other bracket. You know what I mean? I think that would make a lot of sense. I think it'd do a lot better than what the universities and or NCAA might be thinking, or what a lot of people may be thinking out there. It is watchable. I enjoyed watching Montana and Dakota playing. I really did watch that game, and I enjoyed it. It was a good matchup. All right, so that's all I got to say about that. And moving on, let's get up into these bowl games. Now, we seen Alabama and Michigan. That game was great. It was a great game. Michigan came back. Michigan was uncharacteristic of themselves. I seen some of the talking heads on ESPN and their takes on it, and they're saying, they were expecting this out of Michigan. However, Michigan dominated the Big Ten. The Big Ten is better than what we all thought it was. Me, myself, I'm guilty of it, and I say that with all due respect. Big Ten Conference, I apologize for, getting it wrong, and I have no problem with saying that. Because when you get to looking at the worst of the worst, which was Northwestern, 1-11 team last year, 7-5 this year, 8-5 with the win over Utah in the bowl game, that's huge. And their records did not show how well they actually were playing. And however, Iowa was the exception of that. Iowa got blown out of the water by Tennessee, which is an SEC team. And sometimes that happens, okay? You know what I mean? It just does. But how, players opt out and so forth and so on, which why contracts is important now, right? Check out my videos on contracts. Anyhow, so moving on, Michigan is dominant. They've dominated that division. Their trenches is just different. I'm telling y'all, Michigan is just different. JJ McCarthy is a lot better than what I gave him credit for. Because you can try to take Blake Corum away. That offensive line will not let it happen. It's not letting it happen. And JJ McCarthy, you put the game in his hands, he will beat you, as he's shown it so many different times against Penn State, Ohio State. He just showed it versus Alabama because I'm sure Alabama knew you take number 2 out of the game and we got a better chance of beating them, in which they did a pretty decent job at, but still that offensive line is just too damn dominant. You hear me? Washington is very underrated, and Alabama, they just lost the game. And Washington is very underrated once again. They are. Put some respect on the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was a lot better than what a lot of people may not give credit for. It really was. Some great ball came up out of there. Y'all seen what Arizona did to Oklahoma. Yeah, Oregon State lost. Depleted team was not there. Utah lost. Depleted team. A lot of their players wasn't there. However, you seen what the best had to offer. Some of the best. You looking at Arizona with a winning record. Stomped them. Seeing, even though Liberty shouldn't have been playing Oregon, Oregon still blew them out of the water and showed y'all what the Pac-12 was about. Washington showed y'all what the Pac-12 was about against the best in the Big 12, a powerhouse that's going to the SEC next year in Texas. And Texas had a SEC roster this year. I think they did. I don't know if they would have did as well as they did in the SEC, but they definitely had the players and the talent to make that move. Now, Texas could have beat Washington, but they made up too many mistakes, and they wouldn't stick to the run. They just would not stick with the run. However, and you see Washington struggle with that, and Washington can run the ball well too. The thing is, Michigan is a top rushing defense. Michigan seen this. The Big Ten, that's what they do. The Big Ten is not soft. Like, it's really not soft. The Ohio State teams have gotten softer because they've been passing a lot more. But when you look around the Big Ten, running the ball and offensive lines matter. They matter. If you can even look around, people going to go grab Indiana's offensive linemen, and you're talking about some of the top teams. Oregon, Colorado went and grabbed one of them. You know what I mean? A lot of people are looking to grab the Indiana Hoosiers line, and that Indiana was one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. But that's what the Big Ten does. They play hard-nosed, smash-mouth football in the Big Ten. That's what they do. They play great defense, and they run the ball. Washington struggles with that. And to me, that's why I think Washington will lose this game. But this is no slight to the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 is amazing. It is. It's amazing. Michael Penix passing the ball, dropping back and throwing those bombs, that's not going to fly with Michigan. It's not going to fly with Michigan. It's not. It's just not. They've played some of the greatest receivers. If he has that much time back there, I'll be, and I'm not slighting them, Washington has a great offensive line too, but Michigan is different. I must say that, and I must keep beating that down. Michigan is different this year. They are used to this and playing this game. They're going to have to run the ball on Michigan and hope that works. But Michigan is very, very good at stopping the run. So they're going to make Michael Penix beat them. They're going to put the game in Michael Penix's hand. And that's the best way to do it. And Washington has to stop the run, which they had problems with. Blake Corum is a different running back. Those trenches is different in Michigan. And to me, that's why I'm going with the Wolverines, man. I'm going with the Wolverines. And, I'm not saying that they got it all in hand. As long as they play a mistake-free game, because they did not play their best game versus Alabama at all. And they still beat an Alabama team. And they did not play their best game. And they beat Alabama. They come out and they play their best game versus Washington. I hate to say it, but it's not even going to be close. And I'm not even going to be surprised, because I've watched them all year long. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Who do y'all have to be the national championship? I got Michigan. Who do you have and why? Peace.